Hello and welcome to day number 5 of your transformational journey. Today we are looking very closely at you, who you are and what you are. Predominantly we're going to be looking at your state. Now I've already talked a little bit about that we are the sum total of our experiences, our thoughts, our perceptions, our past, and also our present. And we accumulate and we gather as we move through life. Now, of course, now you have a very clear idea of where you want to go or who you want to be. We can now begin to remold who you are with regards to bringing who you are into alignment with where you want to go. So, for example, if this is your end goal, whatever it is that you're currently focusing on, and your state is a mismatch for your end result goal, then you're going to be constantly doing this, sort of missing the goal, so to speak. So today is all about understanding what makes up our vibration and our state, other than what's happened in the past, and pinpointing what you can do moving forward on a daily basis to begin to reshape, remold, and in essence raise yourself up to a level that is going to be more conducive to you, for you, moving forward. So we talked yesterday about emotions and wounds and what went on and what went wrong and what we are still carrying with us from the past. Now that is a really powerful day. It takes you deep. And we could almost label it as being a little bit heavy. Now, I hope that you enjoyed the clearing exercises, and I like to put those in because, as well as identifying and becoming aware of everything, we've then got to do something with it. So by consciously and specifically commanding and stating that we are moving from that place of being almost tethered to that way of being and not knowing how to get away from that, we've consciously commanded and demanded that by acknowledging, understanding, and then actively releasing, that we can start afresh. So that's where you are today, starting afresh. And it doesn't quite happen in that time frame, not for everybody anyway. You don't wake up one morning and think, yeah, I'm free from everything. But there is a pattern that you can follow, and even if you need to repeat it a few times, like repeat yesterday's activities a little bit, the EFT tapping, for example, then that's absolutely fine. Schedule that in to your next week or so once you've completed the course. Today we are looking at practical ways that you can begin to ensure that every day you are showing up with the conducive state for what you're building, attracting and creating and changing, and who you want to be. You've got really clear on who you want to be. You've got really clear on how you want to show up, how you want to behave and think and interact and relate with the people around you, what you want to bring more of into your life, and perhaps what you want to see less of or make disappear completely. So your state can, which is amazing news, it can be changed. Currently, you're in a certain state of being. Now, that's made up of your feelings, your emotions. It's made up of your thoughts. It's made up of something maybe that happened yesterday or something that is going to happen, something maybe you're worrying about. And the brilliant thing is, your state is literally like a piece of plasticine or clay or Play-Doh, and you can get your thumbs in and your fingers in and reshape it and remold it to become a certain shape that is going to then be able to be slotted into the shape that you require it to be for your transformation. Imagine those kids' toys. You know, you get those kids' toys that they sometimes come in the form of a sphere or I remember I bought my nephew one once, and it was in the shape of an English-style bus, a double-decker red bus. And around the body of the toy, there are little shapes, different shapes. And then the toy also comes with the actual attachments that you can slot into the shapes. And of course you see kids sort of playing around, and that one doesn't fit, so maybe that one, and there's process of elimination. And that's what it's going to be like for you. We're going to explore ways that you can, that will, so modalities and ways, and what's the other word I'm looking for, activities, that's it, that will really get you into the state that you want to be in. Now, Anthony Robbins talks a lot about optimal state. Now, optimal state will be different for each and every one of you. Now, the optimal state for you will be the state that is most conducive to you becoming, creating, being, or doing in the form of your transformation. So, for example, if optimal state for you, if your desire is to have less anxiety in your life, then we will create a plan. We will pinpoint ways that will enable you to manage your anxiety levels. Hence, that's your optimal state for that particular or this current focus that you have. And of course, that will change over time, moving forward. As human beings, we operate in cycles and waves, and much like the just that sort of, wavy line that you see. There'll be moments when we have to push more or we have to focus more. There'll be other times in our month, week, or day where, we're going to be naturally highly vibrating, all right? So your state is made up of your thoughts, your beliefs, your experiences. And we can, of course, begin to affect our external experiences by first affecting our internal experiences. Our internal experiences are the way that we react and feel about something. Now, that really is a whole other course, but I just wanted to raise that for you so you can understand that you have the power. Today's focus, what I want to take you through is 2 different ways of dealing with life, or dealing with circumstances, events, or occurrences, or emotions even. Now, usually when something happens, it causes an internal reaction, and our go-to result is that we react. We react in a way that we've always reacted. Maybe it's an interaction with a partner, maybe it's something that happens at work, maybe it's something we believe we can't do. We can have that go-to habitual reaction. Now, when we become conscious, we then develop, or can develop, the ability to choose differently. So choose our reaction differently. And that is an absolute high moment on your journey. You will be absolutely over the moon when you get to observe, wow, I just felt that same thing happen that's been happening for the past 10, 20 years or 6 to 12 months, whatever. The same thing happened. I felt the same momentarily, but then I chose differently. I chose to feel differently. I said, I have a choice. Or I chose to react differently because I said, I have a choice. I chose to speak differently because I said, I have a choice. And I chose in alignment with who and what I want to be. I'm using kind of a few visuals. This is your end desired result, your transformed self. Remember that yesterday we talked about form, so it might even look a little bit different. So choosing differently is something that will fare you absolutely well. But also almost preempting, a little bit like prevention rather than cure. So choosing differently would come into the category of the cure, all right? So once the condition has set in, or the misalignment has set in, or the illness, so to speak, if we talk in medical terms. But the prevention, the act of applying yourself on a daily basis to something, applying a segment of your time in the morning, which is the most conducive time to do it. For example, spending time listening to some empowering audios or videos, spending time reading some uplifting text, spending time nourishing your physical body with plant foods, fruits and vegetables and high vibing foods, spending time doing some physical activity, for example, spending time in stillness, meditation, positive affirmation, spending time doing something that impacts your state in a positive way. So you are made up of everything that I've mentioned already, your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas, what you see, what you watch on TV, what you read on Facebook and social media. When we can create the most conducive state before we jump into our day, that absolutely sets us up to be able to, this is the biggie, choose differently when adversity happens or when that same old occurrence repeats itself, whatever it might be for you. So there are two ways that I'm going to teach you today anyway. There's lots more, but there are two distinct ways that we can affect our state. One is the prevention and one is the cure. All right? So I'm going to describe the idea of state in a slightly different way for those of you who like to hear things in more than one way. I always do, just to make sure it's kind of cemented in. So you are, by your very nature, a vibrational being. And just think of radio waves, just think of sound waves, just think of watching the TV. Everything around us that we perceive and with our five senses is vibration. Now, what's not very widely spoken about, but we are actually, by our very nature, vibrating all of the time. All of the time. Right now you're vibrating. Now the frequency, the level at which you vibrate very much depends on your state. Your state, which again is made up of thoughts, beliefs, feelings, external input, fears, worries, emotions, past experiences, pains, wounds, so on and so on and so on. So when you find yourself in a grouchy mood, when you find yourself in a state of fear, when you find yourself in a state of anger, or anything that is an unpleasant experience, it's very likely that you're going to be vibrating on one of the lower scales, one of the lower points on the scale, all right? So say this is the middle. Below the middle is, as I said, the negative. What we deem negative, really, in essence, there is no right or wrong. Each emotion has its purpose, so on and so forth. But again, that's for another course. So if you want to get a good idea, just think any emotion, any state that has you feeling a little bit unpleasant. Now, that's not to say that we're going to be above average, above the middle all of the time, or right to the top of the scale. That's not realistic, and actually it's not helpful. Okay, this is quite advanced stuff if it's new to you. All right, we are moving up and down that vibratory scale very frequently. We have the capacity to drop very quickly, perhaps if we see some alarming news on the TV, or perhaps if we get into a bit of a fight with our loved one. Maybe we check our bank balance and it's not where we want it to be. All of these things have the capacity, and many more, to drop us into a low vibrating state. All right? And that's normal. That's part of being human. However, because we know all of this information, we know that we have the capacity and the power to affect our state. So, as I said, one of the things we can do is first thing in the morning, prevention rather than cure, go through a few minutes or a segment of time of state uplifting activities, and that'll all be in your activities today, so don't worry about the details of that. Another good thing about, well, one of the good things about the low vibratory state is that we actually get to experience the contrast. We get to experience a little bit of what we don't like, or a lot of what we don't like, which actually then helps us to become really clear. It helps to induce clarity. Well, actually, I'm vibrating at the lower end of the scale right now. I really don't enjoy it. I really don't like it. And then once we're able to connect why we're feeling a certain way with the cause, remember there's cause and there's effect. So the cause is something we need to connect to. Then we can say, actually, that didn't please me. That made me feel X, Y, Z. So then I could choose differently. I can choose a different cause. So when we understand that we're constantly vibrating, and that our vibration has a huge impact and effect on our external reality, then we can choose how we vibrate. And how do we choose how we vibrate? We choose our thoughts carefully. We choose our feelings, our emotions. We change, as much as is possible, our inner state. Now, just a few words on emotions. Now, emotions are there as indicators. They're valuable, they are precious, and before any of that work needs to happen, sort of going in and changing anything, we must first honour how we're feeling. We must first really respect the feelings that we're having, and then try and sort of organise them a little bit, understand them, heal and release, a little bit like what we did yesterday, going in, understanding, unravelling, and then spending some time clearing, healing and releasing, and honouring that very sacred part of us and the emotions that are brilliant at giving us information, giving us feedback as to what is or isn't working, feedback as to how to continue to navigate and negotiate through life. So that is really necessary. So hopefully you gain some powerful insights on how that works and how that can continue to work in your life moving forward. Today we're very much going head on into, well, I know I'm a powerful creator of my own reality. I know that my state affects my reality, and I know how I can affect my state positively. So I'm going to choose to do that. So I really want you to step into this mindset of, I am the number one active commander of my life. All right, can you hear the crow in the background? I am the number one powerful commander of my life. And then really look closely at your state on a daily basis. How do you feel? How have you reacted? Very often when we're a bit disconnected from it, the quickest and most powerful way to get an insight into what state we're in is to just analyse what's happened throughout the day. What were the conversations like? What were your interactions like? What emails were you getting? Were they angry, negative emails, or were you getting a lot of love and a lot of upliftment from the people and the interactions around you? It's an amazing way to take a kind of look into what state you're in. And here's a question that I use all the time for myself and for my clients, and I want to share it with you guys in this course. And it's this: what is it in me that just co-created that? What is it in me that just co-created that? Because, as I've said to you already, we are co-creators. We create with the universe, but we also co-create with other human beings. And if our side of the bargain isn't at an optimal state, then that is going to show up in the other person, in the actions, in the interactions, and in the results that we're getting. So we are able to affect what goes on around us by shifting what goes on inside us. We are magnets for what does and doesn't happen. We either repel or we magnetize in. Now, when we can become super master manifestors and magnetizers, that's when this work becomes even more exciting and joyful. So today, your activities are going to be about understanding your current state. Maybe it's shifted a little bit since day one of this course, but chances are you've still got some, juicy stuff to work with. just for the purpose really of you understanding this process so that you can continue to revisit it moving forward. So you're going to understand and really explore your current state. We're going to look at why that is, and then we're going to look at your habits. We're going to look at what is negatively contributing to your state and perhaps what is positively contributing, and then we're going to build a really clear picture as to what new things, activities, ways of being, thinking and doing that you can adopt moving forward that will bring you right into that alignment with what it is you want to build, create, attract or transform moving forward. So, as always, comment below if you have questions, if you've got any queries. I look forward to seeing your work from today. We've got 2 days left, lovely people. Keep going. Keep yourself focused. You're nearly there. Until tomorrow.